Need to get a motion to allow Kate to participate via the telephone. Thank you, Eddie. Can I get a second? Jennifer? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, welcome, Kate.
Thank you.
First, we need to approve the minutes from the September 22nd meeting. Could I get a motion? Thank you, Junior. Thank you, Linda, for the second. Any changes, updates? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor as written, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we have the workforce report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll find in your packets the monthly workforce report. This is for data including the month through the month of September. And as we do each month, we compare current year versus last year. You'll see that for the month of September, we had 24 positions posted in 2019 and only 15 positions posted this year. We had actually the same number of applicants, even though we had fewer positions posted. And then for hires, you can see that we had 11 hires in compared to 23 last year. Just as I say every month, just as a reminder for everyone, just because a position was hired in the month of that the report is showing doesn't mean that the position was posted. Sometimes positions are posted and it takes more than a month to actually go through the hiring process. In the middle third of the page, you'll see the current demographics of our workforce. And then on the bottom, you'll see separations in terms of what we're looking at for the current year compared to last year. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Scott? Okay, we'll move along to the furlough and layoff report.
That's on page 5 of the committee packet. Really, no significant change from the numbers that we reported to you last month. So we've had 194 total layoffs, whether they be permanent or temporary. Excuse me. We have 4 employees that are currently on some type of furlough. 174 have already taken theirs, and we've had 16 permanent layoffs. We've saved roughly 1,094 total weeks through the furlough process, and the wage savings combined year to date is just a shade under $1.2 million. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Those numbers, Scott, do those include unfilled positions, or are those based off of filled positions that were actually furloughed and laid off?
The latter. So those were filled positions where we either had a permanent layoff or a furlough.
Okay. Next, we have a resolution to put on the floor, non-discrimination, anti-harassment, and inappropriate conduct policy revision. Could I have a motion? Linda, second. Jennifer? Shauna, are you doing this?
Can you hear me okay? Okay. As stated in previous months when we were talking about some of our demographics and statistics, we mentioned that we will be bringing back to you a revised EEO policy. As we work through that process, we realized that there is some overlap between our affirmative action and EEO as well with our sexual abuse and sexual harassment policies, some similar procedures and some similar themes and wording that was needed between those 3 policies. So in doing so, those were 3 separate policies within our personnel policy manual. So what we did was we revised all 3 policies at once and then combined that into the new non-discrimination, anti-harassment, and inappropriate conduct policy. So there's basically 3 red line policies combined into one for your review. We took a look at some counties within the area using some of our professional organizations as well as contacts that we have with those county organizations in their HR departments. We also looked at King County, Washington, and some other best practices across the U.S. in terms of what those policies should look like. Also with keeping an eye on the social justice and those themes as well. So what you have before you is a red line version. I'm happy to answer any questions. There's quite a bit of cleanup in those policies, as you'll see. They had not been updated in quite a while, and then we did go through and update some new language for some of the new regulations that have come down as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, if there are any.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of these? No. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I'll just make comments. First off, thank you for putting this together and updating, because it's been a while, and I think what you've done here is combined them into one overall policy, which is a good summary. So I've gone through it. I didn't see anything there that caused me to have really any questions. So with that, thank you for the work you've done.
Thank you. I'll pass it along to the HR team.
I would just like to say I'm in consensus that I'm glad to see this updated. Look like it's been quite some time ago since it was last done, and it's certainly good to see we're up to par, in this particular area. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I was very happy to see the broaden scope of those people who are protected. I think it's definitely been updated to the times, so thank you for that. Okay, if no other comments. All those in favor of the policy as rewritten, please state aye.
I have
Aye.
a question.
Oh, oh.
Sorry, it's hard for me to hear, Rob.
Okay, Kate.
Sorry, I couldn't hear everything, so I apologize if this was already addressed. One of the things that I was looking at, and again, I also want to thank administration for updating this. Some of the changes look like they were really needed. One of the things that I was looking at was the definition of sexual abuse, particularly the line that states but does not include sexual harassment. I was just looking at the definition of sexual harassment as well, and I didn't think those two necessarily seemed always mutually exclusive. Sometimes it did seem like sexual abuse could also be sexual harassment. So it's hard for me to hear right now, but anyway, that was just something that I wanted to bring up as an observation in the definition of the sexual abuse that's on page 13.
You said the definition of sexual abuse, that's where you're at? On 13?
Yeah, on page 13. There's a line in there that says, the third line says, but does not include sexual harassment. And when I was reading the definition of sexual harassment, it did seem like sometimes there could be a situation where it was both.
I'm assuming that at that point it would default to the worst of the two, if it's both. But I think what it's saying is it doesn't necessarily include sexual harassment.
That's one of the reasons why we combine the policies, because I think that under this policy, it would still be considered a policy violation regardless of which section that it fell into. From a legal perspective, if Jenny wants to weigh in, I think she's on the phone as well. But when we go in and do investigations, we definitely look at any and all violations, and then obviously would turn any instances of abuse or things like that over to the sheriff's office. And then from an internal perspective, any EEO violation or sexual harassment from an employment standpoint would fall, within state's attorney's office and HR administration to take a look at. So I don't know that, I completely understand Kate's question. I don't know that they're mutually exclusive, I guess would be my thought.
Pretty much Shauna was saying, because it's all in one document, as long as it's an abuse of the policy regardless of where it falls the sub-designators.
Okay, thanks.
I called it to vote. How did you vote on that, Kate?
I will vote yes for accepting the policy
Okay.
changes.
Okay. Any nays? All right, motion carries. Now I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss labor relations. Jennifer, can I get a second? Junior, all those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
All right, we're in executive session now. I forget to pause for you.
Yeah, so I'll tee it up. James, can you close that door, please? Awesome. Chief, is this door closed here? Thank you. Thanks. Jan, are you ready to go?
Is there a certain order you go?
Yes. So, Mr. Chairman, we've got 3 collective bargaining units to talk to you about today. The first would be, we'd like to talk to you about is professional unit, which covers engineers at the Highway Department and planners in the Planning and